So today I'm with Joe O'Connell. Joe's a friend of mine. I met him in Chiang Mai in May when I was over in Thailand, and recently, since then, Joe has gone on a huge adventure all through Southeast Asia and then all the way down from Darwin, which is in the very north of Australia, down the east coast and then across from Sydney to Adelaide, where we are now. Just wanted to do a quick interview today on the adventures he had while just packing up everything and going on a completely unknown adventure through pretty rough countries, pretty rough areas, and the way it's shaped him as a person and the different perspectives he had after the travel. Do you want to just give a quick intro to yourself and maybe explain on...
So my name's Joe, I'm from Manchester, England, and I used to work in a bike shop there. Sort of sold all my stuff, sold a few bikes, and just ended up living in Thailand for a while. And I got a bit too comfortable after about 5 months. Like, you have everything on tap there, you can live very, very cheaply, and it just wasn't challenging me enough. I was doing a lot of riding, a lot of big rides. Like, the riding over there is incredible, the people are really nice, but it just wasn't pushing me to, I didn't feel like I was growing anymore, and I needed to be pushed. So I just thought, I checked with the seasons, and it was good to go, like with Australia and Indonesia. So I booked a flight to Java and cycled across there, and Bali, and then down through Northern Territory, over to Queensland, and then down through a few more states, and I'm finally in South Australia in Adelaide to the Tour Down Under, which has timed it to perfection. It's all worked out. Had a few scrapes, I broke my wrist, and yeah, it's just been a wild adventure.
Do you want to just I know you rode through Indonesia, and from my uninformed perspective, it's, in my view, quite dangerous there and a bit hectic, a bit unknown. So talk us through, like, what was it like riding there? Was it busy? Was it really dirty? Were the people nice? Like,
yeah, don't get me wrong, Indonesia's great, but you've got to understand there's 200 million people live in Indonesia. There's 145 million people live just on Java. Like, if you go to a major city like London or LA or New York, these are really nice cities in general, but Indonesia's just chaos. Like, it's chaos. There's so many people. Like, you can't have cars. Like, they run on scooters. Like, everybody's got a scooter. There's 5-6 people on a scooter. To me, the first few days was just like it was a real slap in the face, like how good we have it in the West. And even parts of Java is quite westernized, don't get me wrong, but man, it's a different world. It really is a different world, and the pollution level over there now is like they don't have like recycling plants or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure they have a few small ones, but for the amount of like products and stuff, they just burn it. It's the cheapest way of doing it. It's a very dirty way of doing it, and they're burning a lot of forest. And it has its problems, but on the other side, like, Java's just this incredible place where the roads are so smooth, like, the people are so nice, the food's really good, and yeah, I mean, me and Griff are vegan, so it's like, yeah, we come up with our challenges sometimes, but you can easily get past that in Southeast Asia. And, yeah, the food's incredible, man. I would go back, but it is very dangerous. Like, I did come quite close, probably closer than ever to death in Indonesia than anywhere else, because...
Was it the traffic conditions, or just...
Yeah, I mean, I was there during Ramadan, so all the traffic was moving east. Like, everybody moves out of Jakarta on the west and goes home to these villages. They might not have seen the family in like 4 or 5 years. Like, and everybody's on the move east, and I was moving east towards Bali, and these people are in vehicles. There's people dying in the street, man.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the standard on these buses and in cars. Like we have this thing where one person drives to work in a car. They'll have 8 people in a car. It's,
yeah.
The amount of people is just unbelievable. It is an amazing country to see, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
or
I mean,
island, should I say?
Yeah, I remember like recently I was in LA and they had a carpool lane. It means anyone with 2 people or more in the car can take this outside lane, and this outside lane is empty, but every other lane is full. That means there's 3 lanes full of traffic almost daily, all day, every day, full of people with 1 person in the car, because anyone with 2 people car is going in this 3 outside lane. So maybe now moving on to Australia.
Yeah.
And you've obviously faced some harsh conditions here because you've ridden through a lot of outback harsh conditions without any water, hundreds of kilometers and stuff.
I mean, there's harsh and there's harsh. Like, you could be really injured and you could be in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, Australia, especially if you keep to the highways, you've got at least some traffic going past you at some point in the day. So you're not completely out of the woods, but you are alone for the majority of the day. You don't have to choose to tour like that, but I did in this case. And probably one of the toughest days was probably there's a long stretch between the Stuart Highway. So the Stuart Highway runs straight through the middle of Australia, north to south, and goes through Alice Springs. But about 400 k's north of there, you've got an east turning which goes to straight to Queensland, and this is about a 2,000 k road that runs to the coast. But as soon as you turn east there off the Stuart Highway, you've got about 200 k's until Barclay Homestead, and then you've got another 200 k's to the next town, which is like Camberwell or something. And these are like nothing towns. There's maybe like, well, Barclay Homestead is just like, it's just a homestead. It's just like a campsite and a pub. Quite a famous one, don't get me wrong. But it's 200 k's you've got to do into solid wind, and if you don't make that, you're not getting water. So, and that's a 2-day ride for me. So you got to make sure you carry. So
how many litres were you carrying at one time?
Oh man, I was carrying, on that stretch, I carried like 18, and then on the next day, on the next stretch, I carried like 25, because 18 wasn't enough.
So that's on top of all your touring equipment. You have 20 kilos of water just to survive on going through these desert areas. That just blows my mind. I mean, that's like over twice the weight of our bike.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, it's
at the
crazy,
moment.
isn't it?
Yeah, I've had this up to like 55 kilo easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just don't want to run out of water.
Yeah.
Like,
obviously I met you around 6 to 8 months ago in Chiang Mai.
Yeah, that's right.
Last May, and now that you've come here, obviously with that journey under your belt, you've definitely changed, in my view of you as a person. Like, you're a lot more hardened. You're a lot more no messing. Yeah, how do you think this trip has shaped you as a person? Any new perspectives you had, and the challenges you overcome? How do you think they've shaped you as a person now?
Yeah, it's a good one. I guess I'm just a lot more grateful.
Yeah.
In general, for everything around me, everything from fresh air to fresh water, to just the kindness of people, for time, the fact that I can do this, like the freedom you have on a bike, and I could go back home whenever I wanted.
Yeah.
You know, I have family back home. Like, some people just don't have that. Some people, and it's not like they're, you know, worse off in any way. It's just the fact that, like, I just feel really, really lucky to have had that, and you know, have these people around me that support me. And you know, I mean, we spoke a few times while I was on the road.
Yeah.
And yeah, just having that access, internet access, it's just unreal, man. Like how grateful I am now. More aware of like what's going on around the world. I've done a bit of reading, a bit more reading than I even imagined I would have, and it's just opened my mind to how far I can push myself.
Yeah.
Like, this is just the start, man. This is just like a warm-up in a way. Like, there's some guys who've never ridden a bike and they set off on these crazy journeys like around the world. I want to eventually build up to that, so I eventually know what I'm doing. Like, I still don't know what I'm doing, man.
Yeah.
I just about know how to cook rice. That's about it. in a billy can.
So, as I can feel, you're pretty excited to carry on touring.
Yeah.
Where do you think's next on the list?
Well, you know, I leave for New Zealand next week. This week, Friday. I'll be heading to New Zealand for a few months, and after there, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll go to places where really culturally different. I'd like to get myself back over to Southeast Asia for sure. Definitely Vietnam, maybe the southern parts of China, near Shangri-La, maybe Tibet if they open it up, or I might have to like jump through a few borders and yeah, check that out. I mean, that sits at like 4,000 meters, so yeah. I'd love to spend some time over there.
Yeah, I think Taiwan looks pretty cool as well. I mean, it's a bit more developed, yeah. But it doesn't seem to be a tourist hotspot yet. But yeah, there's some big events there. There's obviously there's a 48-hour ride around Taiwan event, which obviously isn't touring, but it's a high level cycling event, as well as the KOM challenge, where they race up 100 kilometers up a 3,000 meter mountain. Yeah. So it's getting a bit more exposure, and obviously they make pretty much all the bikes we use. Right, so thanks for doing this interview with me.
Yeah, no worries,
just
man.
Having you around the past week or two has definitely inspired me to go and explore more, put myself out there in a bit more challenging environment, because I travel very safely for the most part. I get an Airbnb and just ride around in a certain area, and I don't have to think logistically about where my next meal is coming from, storing water. And sure, I don't want to travel like that all the time, but it's definitely opened my eyes to putting myself in a bit more harsher environments. And I'm definitely looking, when I go back home to the UK, just going off on some shorter adventures in like lightweight touring. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you could write below where you'd recommend or where you'd like to go touring in the future. And if you got any questions to ask Joe, he's done like a series on all his touring adventures. I'll put his channel down below, and he'll answer questions in the comments. So anything you got to ask about Indonesia, Bali, Australia, riding around, touring questions, just ask below and he'll answer them.